I don't know. I thought it was 7. Where did
Very big day.
Oh, yeah.
Good advice. Good advice. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Across the street, and then up. Yeah.
Yeah, I jump over the podium. I don't want to do that.
He's coming. Right over there.
Hey, good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Richland Center High School Athletic Booster Club, I welcome you here tonight. We're going to get started. You can still find your way in. We do have a couple of announcements. My name is Kurt Blair. I'm not your MC for the whole night, but I'm going to kick it off here to begin with. Just a couple of announcements. We're still going to keep the, as you can see, the silent auction open for at least 8 o'clock on the orange tables, and then after the ceremony, we'll give you some time, and then we'll shut down the black tables. Another thing, as far as a fundraiser that's going on right now here in the Richland Center community, it's called stadium flags. The Hornet flags are probably hung over the outside stadium for every football game, soccer match, track meet for a couple of decades. They have served the Hornet Nation well. However, it is time for them to retire. They are worn by weather and have an old logo. There's an example here on the other side of the gym. Over there, next to the other side of the gym, is a free will place where you can donate and help raise funds for these new stadium flags. It's time for a new look. We're collecting funds to purchase these new flags, so let's show our Hornet pride and donate in that area tonight to generate new flags here at the stadium at Richland Center High School. Okay, the order of how we intend to do business tonight, we started with an idea, and we're going to take it to fruition here by having the sports. We're going to start out with the spring sports, go to the fall sports, and the winter sports. If the athlete is here when your coach reads your name, we'll start off with, say, we're going to do boys baseball. We'd ask, when your name is read, we're going to recognize the ones who are either all state or all conference or those type of awards. They will stand, they will remain standing until the coach reads all the names for that team, and then you're welcome to give them a round of applause, and we'll move on to the next sport. We have 15 sports we're going to recognize here. We have a lot of some athletes who have gained all state honors, and we also have some athletes that have gained a lot of all conference honors. We want to recognize them here in these next 15 minutes. So I think, Coach Tropsel, you're going to start it off? All right. Coach Andy Tropsel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to discuss some of the talented track athletes that we had last spring. These were members of the 2021 regional champions as well. So if you are here, please stand. It's going to be recognized at the end. Easton Darling was first team in the 400. Sam Bosworth, first team in 110-meter high hurdles. Wes Keller was first team in the high jump and the triple jump. Carrie Craddock was a state champion in the 1,600-meter wheelchair, as well as the 100-meter wheelchair, and also the 400-meter wheelchair. The relay, Cindy Cooley, Rachel, Olivia, and Cora were first team in the 4x200, and then the 4x1, Rachel as well. The relay of Bryce Hillers, Nate Fogel, Brock Banker, Tyler Reisner, first team in the 4x100. The relay of Bryce Hillers, Felix Brock Banker, Tyler Reisner in the 4x2. Bev Harper was sixth in the state in the 800-meter, second team in the 400-meter, 800-meter, and is also committed to University of Northern Michigan. Lee Fingerson was fourth in the state in triple jump, second team in 200-meter long jump, and honorable mention in triple jump. Bryson Clarkson was second team in the 300-meter high hurdles, and honorable mention in the 100 high hurdles as well. And Andrew Honer was honorable mention in the 1,600-meter as well as the 3,200-meter. So a very talented group of men and women for last season's track athletes. So if you are here and standing, would you please give those folks a round of applause? All right, thank you. It is my privilege to introduce Coach Davis, and he'll talk about the golf as well as the baseball honorees from last spring.
All right, for golf last year, we had two sectional qualifiers. Connor Shilgen, who was a junior last year, and Roman Johnson, who was a freshman last year. Roman Johnson also was second team all conference. All right, baseball. We had Evan McDonald was second team. Brock Lewis, a junior last year, so he's a senior this year was second team. Trent Forehand was honorable mention, and Trent has committed to play baseball at Milwaukee Technical College. So. I'm doing softball too. All right, softball, we had KJ Lewis, first team all conference, and Lexi Neaton, first team honorable mention all conference. Probably should have been first team. Okay.
All right, for girls soccer last spring, the girls finished their season in conference with 7 wins, 2 losses, and 0 ties. The highlight of their season was beating Dodge Point at their home field to clinch second place in conference for the first time in a very, very, very long time. The all-conference winners that we had last year. Honorable mention for defense was Cassidy Olson, who will be attending Viterbo University this fall. Gabby Dono, midfielder, who will be playing soccer down at Maranatha Baptist University. Second team goalie, Aaliyah Ruland. First team defense, Jaden Johnson. First team midfield, Alexa Brenninger. First team midfield, Paige Keller. First team forward, Celine Hernandez Garcia. And we also had one other great honor last year, and that was to have a player named to the Southwest Wisconsin Conference Player of the Year, and that was Celine Hernandez Garcia. And that's the first time again that that's happened in a very long time. So let's congratulate those girls. All right, and moving on to the boys in the fall season. The highlight of that season was, for myself anyway, was getting to coach several of the senior players that I've been coaching since they were about this high. So that was a great way to finish my coaching career. Our all-conference winners for the boys soccer, honorable mention, midfield, Ashton Wallace, who's going to be attending and playing soccer at Lakeland University. Second team forward, Armando Sanchez. Second team goalie, Jacob Wright. First team defense, Ethan Boyarski, and he'll be playing and attending Olivet Nazarene University. Luis Garcia Hernandez, a midfielder, will be attending UW Whitewater. Riken, first team forward, Riken Call, I should say, first team forward, and he's going to be playing and attending UW Platteville. Let's give them a hand.
I'd like to go ahead and we'll go ahead and discuss some of the merits of the 2022-1 football season. So last season we ended up being 7-4, second in the SWC, exceeding expectations for the preseason rankings, making it to the second round of the playoffs, and just being a back-to-back playoff team, which is outstanding in its own right. Some of the members of that team that received accolades: Connor Ellenson was a first-team defensive back for us. He was also the SWC Defensive Player of the Year. Bryson Clarkson was a 2-time first-team linebacker for us. He has committed to the University of Wisconsin Whitewater to play their next season. Bryce Hillers was a first-team, or 2-time first-team player, also a kicker and a running back, and he has committed to play at UW Stout next season. Aaron Davis was a first-team and a nose guard and a second-team running back, and he will take his talents to the University of Oshkosh next fall. And then we also had Tyler Brown, who was a first-team guard for us. Trent Forehand was a second-team center for us. Sam Bosworth was a second-team wide receiver. Nate Fogel was a second-team outside linebacker and has committed to play his collegiate ball at the University of Oshkosh next fall. Brock Lewis was a second-team player for us. Colton Stibbe received honorable mention distinction. Teague Perkins was another honorable mention player for us as well. And then lastly, Bruce Buckholz was an honorable mention offensive guard for us. For the cross-country team, Andrew Honer was a first-team athlete for that program. So if I mentioned your name, would you please stand up and we can acknowledge you. All right, it is my pleasure to introduce Coach Johnson.
Well, we want to recognize our volleyball program. Our team finished second in the conference when we're led by the following players. Sophomore, McKenna Munson, she made second team all-conference. Would you stand up, please? Junior, Jaden Johnson, second team all-conference. And two seniors, Olivia Sharp, first team all-conference. And KJ Lewis, also first team all-conference. Multiple times honorable all-conference recognition for her. She also accomplished 1,000 assists this year. And KJ informed me that she's going to UW Eau Claire for rehabilitation sciences. So please give those ladies a round of applause. I'll take us into the winter sports. The girls basketball also finished second in conference. And we want to recognize these following players. Junior, honorable mention, Paige Keller. Next on honorable mention, we had Alyssa Gander, senior, who's going to UW Lacrosse and Finance. Our second team was represented by sophomore McKenna Munson. And then first team all-conference, again, her fourth time getting recognized at some sort of level in the all-conference. Also going to be playing in the all-star game this summer. As I stated earlier, KJ Lewis, who's going to UW Eau Claire. Represent the boys tonight program. We have two players to recognize for that tonight. Two second team all-conference players. First is Alex Johnson, and the second, second team all-conference, while also accomplishing a personal goal of 1,000 points this year, is Tyler Reisner. If you are here, would you please stand?
Southwest Wisconsin Conference has a history of producing a lot of tough wrestlers. This was showcased most recently this season with our conference alone having 3 state champions. So if you're in all conference honors in wrestling in our conference, that's a huge deal. And it's something our boys and girl wrestlers should be extremely proud of. Earning honorable mention all conference this season are team captain Trevin Thielman, Bruce Buchholz, Aaron Davis, and Emma Haiti. Emma also was able to compete at the first ever WIA Girls State Wrestling Tournament this year, so she's making a great piece of history for us. This year, Braden Kleppe was also able to complete at the JV State Wrestling Tournament for us as well. Earning second team all-conference this season were Ethan Haiti, Cole Brenninger, and our team's most valuable wrestler, Teague Perkins. Following first place finishes at the conference, regional, and sectional tournaments, Teague was able to bring home a 4th place medal from the WIA State Tournament, which has not been done in a long time from a sophomore. All right, I would also like to recognize our state runner-up from a year ago, Gus Donovan. We'll give him a round of applause.
Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping things here first. We had our winner of the cash raffle, which was $200. The number for that is 184-50084. If you have that number, be excited and go over there and put some more great bids there in the silent auction.
One more time.
Okay, I will, yes. 1-845-0084. The bucket raffle will be closing at 7:30, which will be shortly here, or maybe is already closing. Again, some other key things there is we mentioned, we'll kind of take a break there. At 8 o'clock, we'll be closing down the orange raffle silent auction tables. And then after the ceremony, we'll be closing down the final silent auction raffles. Now to what I think is one of our features of tonight is our Hall of Fame class. And we are very privileged and honored to have Ron Fruit take over the MC portion of this, and we will now bring in the class of 2022.
Thank you, Kirk. It's a privilege to see all of you here tonight and to be able to welcome you to this ceremony and to welcome those who are joining us virtually here this evening. I think it's incredibly appropriate. We've had a chance to provide applause to deserving athletes. We know that their families play a huge role in that success. We know that fans do but we also know the important mission of the Richland Center High School Athletic Boosters is critical. They've organized this night. They are dedicated to Hornet sports as much as anyone. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe that that group in total deserves an incredible round of applause. Let's honor them this evening. Some of you may remember, many of you will not. It was the 1940s, but the song was popular. Bing Crosby. It's called "You've Got to Accentuate the Positives." Some of you will remember that. You've got to accentuate the positive. You've got to eliminate the negative and latch on to the affirmative. You've got to spread joy to the maximum. Seems to me that's a good recipe for this world this day. And tonight is a perfect opportunity to put all those wheels in motion. Because tonight we reminisce about times that have been really special for all of us. The reasons that we are proud to be a Richland Center Hornet alum, a fan of the game, a contributor to the cause. And tonight we share appreciation with those who've helped create those memories and really made some very special times for all of us. So I hope that you enjoy this induction ceremony this evening that provides deserved recognition for some very outstanding individuals. Our first inductor tonight is one who knows very well what it's like to stand behind this microphone and receive the honor. And for that reason, I know that he's incredibly anxious to come and provide that for another. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Brady Ewing. Brady?
All right, first up. So good evening. First off, congratulations to all this year's inductees. Each of you have played a special role in the Richland Center Athletics Department through your years of coaching on the field, either indirectly or directly impacted my life in some way. Whether that be through your inspirational play on the court or through your time and longevity in this community as a mentor and a coach. Each of you have left your fingerprints on this athletic department, community, and school. Congratulations. Wanted to give a special shout out to one of my good friends, Paul. I'm proud to see you inducted today and thankful for our friendship. It's pretty special that two boys from Richland Center grew up in this community, in this school, had the chance to make a lot of good memories here, go to UW, pursue our academics and athletics, and watching you compete and prepare each day was truly special and a joy and a motivation to me. So congratulations. It's an honor to be asked to present Sharon Panske tonight as the newest member of the Athletic Department Hall of Fame. I got to know Sharon really well in high school sports as a result of the many injuries I endured. The good news is that she always had her athletes' best interest in mind in an attempt to keep us on the field, on the court, on the track. For that, I'm grateful, as I am sure many others are in this room and beyond. In my time as a coach and student athlete, I spent a lot of time with varying coaches, athletic trainers, and sports staff. The best at what they do always seem to let their passions drive them day in and day out. For Sharon, her passion was always evident. Her love for athletics, but more importantly, the love for the athletes and those that she supports and serves. Sharon had a knack of meeting her athletes where they were at, selflessly keeping their needs and well-being at the forefront. Sharon's impact transcends our connection and familiarity with her just here at Richland Center. Prior to that time, Sharon spent many years at UW Oshkosh as a player, coach, athletic trainer, and mentor. Sharon was a part of multiple WEAC conference championship titles and was a head softball coach for 18 years, where she coached many All-Americans, all-conference players, while advancing to the D3 National Championship and being named WEAC Conference Coach of the Year multiple times. That wasn't enough. Sharon was also assistant volleyball coach for 4 years and assistant athletic trainer for 14. As a trainer, she cared for multiple national championship teams, All-Americans, Olympians, and beyond. Through all of these incredible accomplishments, Sharon also had the chance to mentor many student athletic trainers, sharing her passion, knowledge with them, and the others that she came in contact with. finding joy in supporting others' successes, and playing a role in helping them be the best that they can be. When I think of Sharon, countless good memories and stories come to mind. The overarching theme typically comes back to the time spent in the training room or these hallways alongside her. It is the simple little things that drew the injured and uninjured alike to Sharon's office. The rehab and injury evaluations, obviously. I did plenty of that with her. But also the candy, the joke calendar, the talks of Grinchmas, but most often just the relationship. The care, the connection, and the listening ear that Sharon would lend. Whether dealing with physical injury, something going on at home, or on the court, she was always there to help. It's no secret that Sharon has been dealt another challenge with her cancer diagnosis. Through this mental and physical challenge and demanding process, in true Sharon fashion, she has stayed incredibly positive and used this challenge as an opportunity to help others and go beyond herself and to continue to help the community. Leading a team in fundraising for the Walk with Grace and continually uplifting and encouraging those around her, probably when she needed it the most, but she was giving it to others. My dad always liked repeating and summarizing the great Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, that in moments of adversity, one's true character shines through. And Sharon's approach has not wavered through the decades or in this past year. She remains true to her passion, focused on others, even while staring some of life's most difficult challenges in the face. I've learned a great deal from Sharon through the years, and my hope is that others in this room have been blessed with that same opportunity. Sharon is, was, and always will be what it means to be a Richland Center Hornet, selfless, putting others ahead of herself and having a servant mentality. Sharon's love, care, and example will resound through her athletes, through these hallways, and the many athletic complexes she has graced for years to come. Please join me in congratulating Sharon Panske as this year's newest member of the Richland Center Athletic Department Hall of Fame.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. Thanks, Brady. That was wonderful. My speech won't take too long. It's only 21 pages. So, just kick back and relax. Actually, it's really not that long, but I didn't want to wear cheaters up here, so I increased the font. So hold it up. Can you all read it? Because then I don't have to say anything. I'm not a big speech person. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. And, Brady, thank you. That was a wonderful introduction and greatly appreciated. Yes, we spent a lot of time in the athletic training room. The challenge I had every time Brady was in there was when he started asking me questions. Why are we going to do this? Why are you going to do that now? Why didn't we do that before? I'm like, dang, I gotta be really prepared for this kid. But he kept me on my toes. I'd also like to say congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. All very well deserving people, and I could be prouder of going into the Hall of Fame with all of you. I got this phone call, and I almost didn't answer the phone. My caller ID said Kirk Lair was calling, and I'm like, why is Kirk calling me? I know him, but why would he be calling me? So I'm thinking, it's one of these scam calls. So I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, I should probably answer this just in case it really is him. But if I don't hear anything in the first few seconds, I'm hanging up. Well, Kirk was almost a little too late in saying something as I was taking the phone from my ear and going to hit the off button, and I heard this voice, and I'm like, huh, hello. And he said, this is Kirk. I'm like, oh, hi, Kirk. It really is you. So, I almost didn't answer the phone on you. But when he told me, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say, and that's pretty much what I told him. And he said, just please say yes, you accept. I'm like, okay, yes. So, I didn't have to think about that too long. I accepted this job at the Richland Hospital in 2004. Yes, I've been here a long time. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. From day one, Richland Center treated me like family, and I've made numerous lifetime friends and coaches and student athletes that I have worked with over the years have just been fantastic. I'll never forget when I moved into my house, my dog Jackson, we were going for a walk, and this guy pulls up to the driveway just in the next block from where I live. And I walk across the driveway, and he's getting out of his car, and he's like, oh, you must be the new athletic trainer in town. And I'm like, okay, who is this guy? Do you remember that, Dave? Here's Brady's dad. And I had no idea who he was at the time. And I'm like, do I answer him or do I just keep walking? Because, like, I don't know anybody in town yet. But they seem to know me. So I'm like, yes. So he introduced himself, and I've gotten to know the Ewing family very well. And that was kind of my first induction to the people of Richland Center. I want to thank all the coaches, all the athletes that I've worked with over the years. I couldn't ask for a better coaching staff to work with. They took me in and really accepted me right away. It really helped when Sells helped me out too, but I got a phone call the Monday before homecoming that our starting quarterback was playing basketball and rolled his ankle. And could she bring him over to my house for me to look at it to see if they need to take him to the emergency room? I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking she's bringing this kid over, and then I look and there's one car pulls up, two cars pull up, three cars. I'm like, all these 5 boys get out of these cars. And they're carrying the one in. And I said, so why are you playing basketball on Monday, homecoming week, when you're in your football season? You shouldn't be doing that. I said, have you called coach yet? No. When are you planning on telling him? Tomorrow? Oh, no, sunshine. After I looked at him, I said, here's my phone, call Coach Levy. Gave him the phone, and he called Coach. And I said, hi, Coach, I got somebody who wants to talk to you. So he had to tell Coach what he did. And then we were able to get him ready through Sells' help of coming in at like 6 in the morning, doing the stuff I was telling him to do, and she actually made him do it, and he was ready to play. But I think, Brady, you got to start at quarterback that day, and I have this big, tall redhead behind me. Did you tell him I'm ready to go? I'm like, yes, I did. He knows. Well, I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I told him. So I had to go up and tell him again, Coach, you know he's ready to go, right? For sure? Yes. Then he finally yelled his name out and he said, are you ready? I've been ready the whole game. And then he went in, and from what I was told, he probably had the best game of his high school career that night. So that helped when one athlete that really got hurt listened to what I said and got better within 4 days to be able to play in the homecoming game. And he really made me look good. So you can never let that go. I love the athletes and seeing them compete. Those of you who've been at parent teachers or parent meetings for the different sports, you always hear me say, I don't want to work. I never want to work when I'm at an event or even here for practices, because if I'm working, that means somebody's hurt and they're not going to get to practice or play. And I want to watch them play and compete. So, that's always my goal. And when I have to hold them out, I know they don't like it, but it's like, I think by now they know I'm not going to hold them out unless I absolutely positively have to. And, that's kind of always been my deal, because I don't like to work either. So, there's a few other people I want to thank, besides my family who all came today, and some great friends that have come from distances to be here tonight for me, and just want you all to know I appreciate it a ton. Means the world to me that you are all here. I'd also like to thank my mentors. The first athletic trainer I worked with was Jerry Nauert. He was the head athletic trainer at Oshkosh when I was a student, and I worked with him. And then somebody who surprised me today and drove all the way from Mankato with his wife, Jeff Chambers. Some of you may know Jeff if you've been around the football field, because he's the creator of the Cato collar. So Jeff, thank you. And the last person who's not here that I want to thank is Dr. McKenzie, who was our medical director at Oshkosh. And between Jeff and Dr. McKenzie, you couldn't ask for two better people to learn from. And if it wasn't for those two, I wouldn't be standing here right now. So thanks, Jeff. You mean a ton to me. Two other people I want to thank that are not here either are my parents. They were supportive in any and every way. I was that Title 19 person where we were just getting sports. In high school, we had one uniform of 4,000% polyester that everybody wore. We wore for volleyball, we wore for basketball, we wore for track. Yes, I did run track one year. It was not pretty. Coach Troxel, you don't ever want me to do anything with your track team to fix them. Fortunately, we got softball my second year, and played softball with my good friend Kay, who's sitting over here, that went 4 years of high school together and stuff. So it's thanks, Kay, for coming. It's great to see you. But my parents let me do what I wanted to do, and most of that was playing on the dead end street and playing pickup games with all the boys. And my sister was there for some of them. We got to beat up a few boys at times, which was always fun too. So we had a blast, and they let us go, and they were very supportive, and I wish they could be here tonight, but I know they're looking down on us. I love being a Hornet and part of the One Hive community. I will forever be with you, and as my friend said, I bleed orange. So thank you. I appreciate everything, and can't wait to hopefully watch our spring sports compete at some point in time, if Mother Nature wants to ever cooperate with us so we can get some events in. So look forward to seeing all you guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations, Sharon, and blessings to you. I think one of the fun things that you watch during the induction ceremony is you recognize the relationship between the inductor and the inductee. That for me is incredibly rewarding. And I know that relationship is incredibly strong. Ladies and gentlemen, for our next presenter, would you welcome Mr. Harlan Flick? Harlan?
Thank you very much. This is an induction ceremony for Paul and Ear. First of all, I'd like to introduce Paul's family, Carolyn Denman, grandmother, John and Kim Anir, parents, Paul's wife, Erica, Chris Mulholland, aunt, Luke Anir, brother, and Monty Bauer, coach. Paul and Erica had 3 children. Hudson, age 6, Beckett, age 4, and Sutton, age 3. Wisconsin has the distinction of hosting the longest running state track and field meet in the nation. It started in 1895. Paul Lanier is one of the most decorated track and field athletes in the history of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. Paul was inducted into the Wisconsin Track and Field Association Hall of Fame on January 30th, 2015. The bio for Paul's induction was as follows. Paul was a 3-time team most valuable athlete, 4-time Southwest Conference champion in the high jump and the long jump, and 2-time champion in the triple jump. In the WIAA state meet, Paul tied the Division II state record in the high jump at 6 feet, 11 inches. As a freshman in 2005, Paul won the high jump at 6 feet, 6 inches. In 2006, he won the high jump at 6 feet, 8 inches. In 2007, he won the high jump at 6 feet, 10 inches. Paul Lanier and David Greenwood are the only athletes to win 4 consecutive high jump state championships in the history of the WIAA. Justin Austin of Brown Deer won 9 state championships. 3 of those championships were as a member of a relay team, and 6 were individual events. All 8 of Paul Lanier's state championships were in individual events. Paul was named the Wisconsin Gatorade Athlete of the Year in track and field, both his junior and senior year of high school. No other Wisconsin athlete has ever won consecutive Gatorade Athletes of the Year in track and field, other than Paul Lanier. I first met Paul near the end of his freshman year of high school. I've often said, if you had lined up 10 athletes on a stage and asked 10 coaches to guess who was going to be a 4-time state champion in the high jump, Paul might be the first one asked to leave the stage. I asked Paul how tall he was, and his response was, Coach, I'm 5 feet 10 3/8 inches tall, and my vertical jump is 33 inches. Those numbers weren't pedestrian numbers, but they certainly were not mind-blowing either. What people didn't know about Paul was that he had a burning desire to be great. He watched countless hours of video, worked tirelessly practicing his technique until he was extremely proficient in all phases of the high jump. Paul was a competitor. He never backed down. He never blinked. And the moment was never too big for When I first heard that Paul won the Division II state high jump competition, I thought it was Lucanir who won the event. Freshmen don't win the state high jump competition ever. The high jump goes to a junior or a senior athlete. I asked Paul what was going through his head as the bar was raised to 6 feet 6 inches his freshman season at the WIAA state meet. Typical of Paul, his response was, well, somehow I just have to get over the bar. The accolades followed for 4 years along with the records. The Gatorade athlete recognition as the state's finest track and field athlete. The WIAA track and field team championship for Richland Center in 2006, and the second place team finish in 2007. The Wisconsin Track Coaches Association Hall of Fame induction was a great honor for Paul. Those state association awards are terrific and are based primarily on outstanding performances. But the local Richland Center Hall of Fame inductions have their own merit. You grow up with kids you've known your whole life and continue to have a bond as time passes. Paul mentioned that he and Brady Ewing still talk to each other on an almost weekly basis. The rewards they receive aren't about trophies or medals, but they are about relationships and friendships. Those connections may endure for decades. Kim and Neer told me a story about Paul when he was a young boy. Paul would run through the house and jump as high as he could and slap the top of an open door frame. As I recall, it was not a sound Kim particularly enjoyed hearing. The grandkids now come to the Neer house to ride horses, play on the farm. In the not too distant future, I suspect one of the kids, who knows which one, will run through the house, jump high, and slap the top of the same door frame. Erica, who might be making lunch, probably won't be happy with the unwelcome slap of the door frame. But when the day comes, Kim and John will look at each other and a smile will cross their face. Memories change with time, and some of those memories last a lifetime. I was honored to be asked to present Paul's induction into the Richland Center Athletic Hall of Fame. Paul is one of the finest athletes to grace Richland Center High School and the state of Wisconsin in track and field. It is a privilege to present Paul and Neer as the newest member of the Richland Center Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Paul, and welcome home.
First off, I want to say thanks, Coach Flick, for the introduction and taking the time to be here tonight. It means the world to me. I appreciate everything you did for me, and I still appreciate keeping in touch and our relationship today. Coach Flick was always a motivator, treated every athlete exactly the same, whether you were an eight-time state champion or simply out to enjoy the social aspects of track. I'll never forget my senior year. We had an outside practice in the cold, and I didn't wear sweatpants like he typically required in chilly weather. Brady can attest to that. I ended up kind of tweaking my right hamstring that day. It was probably 45 degrees or so, right at the cutoff that Coach Flick required to be outside. I told Coach Flick about tweaking my hamstring. He walked over with that famous blue 90s windbreaker that he would always wear. He gave me a look I've never seen and said something along the lines of, well, yeah, that's what you get. That's what happens. I can laugh about that now. So thank you, Harlan, for everything you've done for my athletic career. I would like to thank my high school coaches, Paul Wertzema, who was my coach freshman year, my high jump coach, Monty Bauer, who is here with my family tonight, Claire Haig, Bob Rosenkrantz, Bill Wise, lived in the community for a while and was a college high jumper and always and helped me out a little bit as well. I want to thank Steve Fromatter from UW-Platteville. He helped me when I would enter college meets during the winter months in high school. Despite me signing with the Badgers, he was always willing to help me as a high schooler, and I always appreciated that. I want to say congrats to the other inductees tonight, some of which had a major influence on my high school career. So congratulations to all the other inductees. To my family, my kids, and my wife, Erica, I love you guys. Thanks to my brother, Luke, for being an amazing brother. I appreciate our relationship, growing up and to this day. I want to thank my friend and former teammate, Brady Ewing, for nominating me tonight and going through the process to make this happen. I appreciate you, and I love our friendship, and I just appreciate you so much. Behind all this success on the track was a great foundation at home with my parents, John and Kimanier. Thank you guys for all the support, driving me across the nation to track meets across the state, Nike Outdoor Nationals in North Carolina, and breaking down in the middle of the mountains in West Virginia. We somehow got there and things ended up all right. I love you guys. I have so many great memories of competing in sports at Richland Center. It was truly a remarkable career and a dream come true. I feel fortunate that I was able to have a relatively injury-free high school career in 4 years of track and football and 2 years of basketball. It was only in the years after high school that I appreciated how lucky I was to stay injury-free. I've joked numerous times with my parents about how they never really pushed me to be competitive and were never those hardcore motivator parents, if you will. I guess I never really needed it. They never wanted sports to be a burden, and I appreciate that now that I'm older. I have so many great memories from track meets across the local area, and of course the state meet in lacrosse. But the state meet freshman year in 2005 really stands out because it was the beginning of all the success that I would have following. Rory Fry from Richland Center was a senior that year and a close friend of mine from a very early age. So we roomed together the night before in the dorms at UW Lacrosse freshman year. It was warm, humid, and Rory snored all night long. I slept maybe 5 to 6 hours that night, and I remember waking up multiple times to listen to his snoring. Unbelievably, the next morning I woke up somehow feeling rested and ready to jump. Apparently, it was all meant to be. I cleared 6'6" my freshman year, won state, and afterwards, Rory and I could laugh about how much he snored that night before. That snoring also propelled him to a second place finish in the 100-meter dash, I might add. While freshman year stands out, I'll say that winning a team state championship with Garrett Vitesnik, Ryan Tidrick, and Brady Ewing was extremely special. We won that state championship in 2007, and to be the first boys team state championship in any sport in school history was an awesome feeling. As a senior, I remember winning my 4th high jump title in a row and how special that was and all the people who had helped me along the way. It was the culmination of natural talent that I was blessed with, a lot of hard work and grit. It's something I always thought possible, but I knew it was never a given. I know there are a lot of high school age students here tonight, so I want to wrap this up with a few words of advice, if I may. I would tell the younger crowd in attendance tonight to put emphasis on academics before sports and realize sports are a very short-term endeavor. They are important, but your school and your future outside of sports is a higher priority. So work hard, push yourself and each other, but realize it doesn't last forever. In every aspect of life, ask for help, seek out mentors, and pick the brains of people that you want to emulate later in life. Spend time outside of your comfort zone. Success is hard to come by when you do ordinary things. Ask the question, why not me? To finish, once again, I want to say thanks to my family, coaches, teachers, and so many other people who helped me and make my athletic career at Richland Center extremely special. Thank you to everyone in attendance tonight, and go Hornets.
Thank you, Paul, and congratulations. As we continue, I can't think of anyone who could make a better pitch for an inductee as an inductor as Mr. Dick Armstrong. Dick, would you come up, please?
I think I got some tough acts to follow here. I kind of wish I had Sharon's printer. Mine is near as good as his. I definitely have to wear my cheaters. Somebody asked me if I had a speech tonight, and I said I'd lost it because the dog ate it, but that didn't work either. I'm here tonight to introduce a new member to the Hall of Fame, Jennifer Salisbury Ewing. It was during the summer following my second year here as a varsity coach when I was watching a youth softball game at the middle school. That was the first time I saw Jenny. She was a freckle-faced sixth grader playing with the 7th and 8th grade softball team. I was there more to observe the 8th graders as they would become incoming freshmen next year. It was during that game when this little sixth grader playing third base would outrun the left fielder to make a catch on a foul ball on deep left field. I said to myself, look this girl up when she gets to the high school. Working for the school district for 40 years always allowed me to see students on a daily basis. So 3 years later, I would see her in study hall and ask her if she was coming out for softball. She said she wasn't sure. She might go out for that T sport. Of course, the first thing I did was run right down to my best friend, Monty, and tell him, you got an athlete here. Not. I was persistent, asking her for the next 2 weeks until she said she was coming out for softball. Probably agreed just to get rid of me, I think. That year, she along with 2 other freshmen would start on varsity and play all the games for the next 4 years. They would fill needed positions and make us a very competitive team. Jenny would play a strong left field her freshman and sophomore years. But it wasn't until our junior year when the infielders from the past had graduated and she moved to first base. That was when she began to shine. I didn't have to spend much time showing her the ins and outs of playing first base. She was a natural there. She earned first team all-conference her junior year. Her senior year was even stronger. She only committed 1 error all year. I remember marking down that error and her saying, "But coach, that throw was 4 feet over my head." I smiled and told her, "It looked better on your stats. No one's going to believe you haven't made an error all year." And I'll let you know that she had some infielders that tried her. She learned to leap in the air, dig the ball out of the dirt, and was definitely one of the best first basemen in the league. In the 30 years of coaching high school softball, she was the best all-around first baseman that I coached. Jenny was a gifted athlete, a great hitter, skilled and speedy base runner, and an outstanding defensive player. During her 4 years of softball, the team here, we won 56 games. Her senior year, she was team captain, team MVP, first team all-conference, first team all-district, honorable mention all-state, and she was selected to play in the senior all-star game. Another award that she won that year was an important award to me, was the Softball Coaches Association All-State Academic Award, which is given to a senior player who has at least a 3.5 GPA. She earned this while playing 3 sports over 4 years. So basically, she was either practicing or playing games every day of 4 years in high school and still managed to keep her high GPA. I am pleased with our state association for recognizing this accomplishment and for Jenny earning the award. After graduation, she would be my head JV coach until my retirement. She went on to coach JV here for a total of 11 years, retiring after 2017 so she could spend more time with her young family. Having known Jenny from 6th grade to high school player, to adult, to coach, to mother, she's always been a hardworking, dependable individual. Jenny is the daughter of Paul and Mary Salisbury, and I thank them for the support they showed me and the team over the years. Even opening up their home to 30 giggling teenage girls for our year-end party. Jenny is very deserving of this award, and I'm very happy to be here for her as their former coach and friend to present this to her. Thank you, Jenny, for all the great memories.
Wow, there are a lot of tough acts to follow. I can promise you mine will be short. Thank you, Dick, for all the kind words. First, I just want to say what an honor it is to be here with other such deserving individuals. I'm not much of a public speaker, so I will keep this brief. Athletics undoubtedly played a fundamental role in my life growing up. It provided structure and discipline. It taught me that dedication, determination, and hard work will lead to success. These are lessons that have served me well into my adulthood. Sports provided special opportunities for me, both as a player and a coach, getting to experience moments that most never get to. I had the opportunity to go from being a player to a coach in one of the same programs I dedicated 4 years to. I was fortunate to coach a few years with Coach Armstrong, who played a vital role in my development as an athlete. I'm truly grateful for the impact that athletics has had in my life. I would like to thank my teammates, friends, coaches, and family for all the support and motivation that they have provided during my athletic career. Those memories will last a lifetime. Lastly, I want to give a special thank you to my parents for allowing me to find my own path, but always providing their love and support. Thanks to my brothers for a little tough love growing up, to my husband and children, and the rest of my family and friends who came out to support me tonight. Thank you, and go Hornets.
Thank you, Dick, and congratulations, Jenny. We're going to transition from one field of play to another where hits have an entirely different definition. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Coach Jim Harris. Jim?
I have the privilege of introducing Greg Shep for the Hall of Fame. I'd like to start out with saying congratulations to all the other inductees. Well deserved. When Greg was playing football, I'll just read some of the accolades he had. He was a 2-year letter winner in 1991, first team all-conference defense, 1991, voted the team captain in 91, The team itself, we were conference champs 90, 91, sectional champs in 90, and played in the state finals in 1990. Okay? Now what I wrote about. All right. I had the pleasure of coaching Greg in high school, and then the privilege of coaching with him at the high school level in both Richland Center and at Ithaca. In high school, Greg was a typical hardworking farm kid. He never complained or expressed any displeasure in how hard football was, or that Rip and I were asking too much of him. Coach Rip and I had the utmost faith and respect for Greg. The coaches would meet at the beginning of the season to evaluate all the players. And back then there were a lot of players. Anyways, we would sit and talk about, okay, these guys were trying out for different positions on our team. You know, can they play here? Can they play there? Well, when we came to Greg, there was no question. It was an easy decision, and he played on both sides of the ball. Greg coached with me at Richland Center, and then later at Ithaca. At Richland Center, Greg and Wayne Krebser ran our freshman program and did an excellent job. Eventually, Greg became the head coach for a few years. Greg is also responsible for starting the Richland Center youth program, football program. This program is I'm sure is a part of the reason for the success that the Hornets are having today. And I know for a fact that Ripper's up there smiling down with that big grin he had, and he would be so proud. Congratulations, Greg.
Okay, good evening. As others, I'm not the best at speeches, so I'm just going to read mine. Good evening. I'd like to start by thanking Coach Jim Harris for nominating me for the RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame. Coach Harris has been a huge influence on me as a player and a coach over the years. I'd like to thank the RCHS Athletic Booster Club for hosting this great event and the selection committee for choosing me to be one of this year's recipients. I would also like to congratulate all the past inductees, and especially this year's very deserving inductees that will be entering the RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame with me. I'm very humbled and honored to be selected to the RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame. This award is the culmination of many great teammates, players, coaches that I've had the opportunity to play, coach, and coach with over the years. They and the support of my family, friends, and community support are what makes this award possible. Thank you to all those great teammates, those players I've had the opportunity to coach, and those coaches I've had the opportunity to coach with over the years. I've learned a lot from all of you. I especially thank my high school football coaches, Coach Vitus and Coach Jim Harris, for being integral parts in my development as a player. Thanks to my family for instilling strong work ethic in me and always supporting and pushing me to be the best I can be. I know it's not always easy being a coach's kid, but I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to have coached all three of my kids, Trayden, Jaden, and Reagan, in different sports. I look forward to the opportunity to do more coaching of you, not just in athletics, but life in general. I appreciate all the support and effort you three have given me on and off the courts and fields, and I hope your experience has been as good as mine. Mom and I are very proud of all of you and blessed to be able to call you our kids. I love you all. Lastly, and most importantly, thank you to my wife, Amy, for all, sorry. Thank you to my wife, Amy, for all the support you have given me, for the commitment it takes to be a coach. As mentioned with the kids, it's not always being easy to be the coach's wife either. It's brought us some ups and downs, but I've always found our way through it. Thank you, and I love you. I got a couple quotes I'd like to share. Surround yourself with positive people and positive things will happen. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. And that one's from Vince Lombardi. To finish up, to all the future Hornets, be respectful and be good human beings. Get a good education, treat others how you want to be treated. No matter what you do in life, always give it your all. The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. Surround yourself with positive people, live every day to its fullest. No one is guaranteed tomorrow. And lastly, for me, today truly is a great day to be a Hornet. Go Hornets, thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Good words and congratulations. This is really kind of a catch-up year, if you will. You'll remember there was a Hall of Fame induction last year, but that was really catching up what was in 2020. So this year we have the privilege for both 2021 and 2022. And what a wonderful mix of inductees we have. And as we move into our final inductees, we're reminded how important coaches are, and certainly we make that transition thinking about Greg. Here to further reinforce that with our next inductee, allow me to introduce Jamie Johnson and Chris Mahone. Jamie, Chris.
Being an educator is a very demanding profession. It requires ingenuity, perseverance, and a daily dose of courage. Adding coaching to that occupation requires an additional sharp-wittedness, intuitive perception, and insight to the needs of others. Once you've made the commitment to become a high school head coach, you now oversee coordinating athletes, coaching staff, facilities, have resourcefulness to stay within a budget, and become a master at skill development. As daunting as this list sounds, it only provides a solid foundation for a team, not a dominating program that lasts for a quarter of a century. To do this for 25 years with teams that are respected throughout the conference, region, and state, and backed by not only the student body, but a community, you must become a volleyball genius with a flair for the dramatic and the brilliance to maintain a level of play that demands we take time to celebrate. It's an honor and pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate an RCHS coaching legend, Laura Selby. So, what makes Laura Selby such an elite volleyball coach? Conference coaches admittedly dreaded the date on the schedule listing the Hornets as their opponents. Those coaches recognized the preparedness and hustle of Coach Selby's team, resulting in fantastic success, including 11 conference championships, 9 regional championships, a sectional championship, and a trip to the Division II state tournament. Laura was named Conference Coach of the Year 9 times, selected to coach the Tri-State All-Star team, served on the WIAA Volleyball Advisory Committee, and received the Robert Lindsay Meritorious Service Award. Her overall coaching record through 25 years boasts 539 wins. So, how does a coach develop a program that has athletes named conference MVP 12 times, 10 all-state team selection, numerous athletes who played college volleyball at all levels, as well as many former athletes who continue their love of volleyball by becoming coaches themselves? Laura Selby coached her Hornet volleyball teams as families using the same high standards instilled in her by her own parents, Jim and Charlotte Selby. Players learned the game of volleyball and knew how to adjust defensively to an opponent's offense, as well as call offensive plays ending a rally in a Hornet point. 1 point at a time, push for one. Isn't that what life is all about? Learn to overcome, play together, support your teammates, give it your all, and have fun doing it. Those teams had fun not only on the court, but during team meals, bus rides, and pregame warm-ups. Meanwhile, Hornet volleyball thrived. The Hornet volleyball success fueled a passion to play at a high level, while a defeat provoked reflection and triggered practice for perfection. Players were developed throughout the program, and upperclassmen were expected to fill key roles on the team. Hornet players rose to the expectations. Coach Selby's teams were expected to play at a high level, and they did by providing incredible digs, game-saving pancakes, block walls, picture-perfect sets, resulting in mind-blowing hits. Players were expected to be better than they thought possible, both on and off the court. Hornet volleyball made athletes better people. If you played RCHS volleyball for Coach Selby, take a moment and reflect on a value she instilled in you that you carry with you to this day. Memories you have of Hornet volleyball will last a lifetime, and as players, fellow coaches, and supporters of RCHS volleyball, those memories make you smile and appreciate unforgettable times together. Thank you, Coach Selby, on exceeding all expectations for the Hornet volleyball program. Congratulations on a career well done, resulting in your RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame induction tonight.
It's an honor to also be a part of this with Coach Mulholland, also known as my volleyball wife over the years, because Coach Selby made us stay together all the time. But I want to take a trip back down memory lane here first. Over 25 years ago, after Laura got the head job, she asked me if I would help coach the middle school team. She thought I'd be able to help lay a foundation for what she envisioned for the program. I remember asking her, are you going to put the effort and time in to get us back to the top? Because when I was in high school, we won a state championship. She dropped her chin down in the only way that she can and says, what do you think? And it's like, I knew right there, she had that fire in her eyes, and I played volleyball with her, and she was very competitive. But the bottom line, she believed. And that's on her license plate. That was a mantra for her. She believed, and so did I at that moment. So that began my time with her as an assistant coach, where the fine print was put into my contract. She always joked when she needed something or wanted us to continue. She reminded Coach Mulholland and I of this fine print contract. We could never read it, but somehow she could. I mention that because she did a tremendous job of making us coaches feel valued and appreciated. She also kept us around even when we didn't agree. And to be honest with you, I think that was part of her success. I'm not saying who specifically she had coaching, but the fact that she didn't surround herself with just yes people. There were many times we would present ideas, thoughts, or our feelings. And as time went on, I think we all grew and appreciated these discussions. We would always put on a united front, but behind closed doors, or even in the middle of a game, very quietly in game decisions, we had some tough conversations. And I witnessed some of those conversations. And then there were some that I would have loved to be a fly in the wall with Coach Mulholland and Coach Selby when they would go at it. But again, it was done because it was respectful, and there was a mutual respect built into the program, and that respect throughout the coaches led to great friendships between all of us that last today. Again, that happens when you're on the same page with a vision. She created a respectful atmosphere that created loyalty among the staff. Ultimately, we had our roles, and she empowered us with them. For example, Chris was back row and passing, and I was more front row and motivation from time to time. But I have to take a quick tangent. in her regard to motivation. For those former players that may be here, she can motivate with just a wrinkling of her nose or twitching of her nose. And if you've been in her office as the assistant principal, you've probably seen it there. But back to our roles. We presented the ideas, and she had to make that final decision. She lived with and defended those decisions, but more importantly, she would defend her players and defend her coaches. That was one of the things I've tried modeling from her coaching with her, is a sense of appreciation to my staff, always trying to have discussions and create a loyalty to each other. Another thing I've tried to keep going, or basically not mess up, is fundraising. Laura is known as the queen of fundraising. She did with the senior trip, she does with this, but she knew that she wanted to do things with pride and excellence. And sometimes that takes money to provide those positive experiences for the athletes. That pride of excellence as a whole is what she instilled in her athletes and in the program. It meant something special when you put on that uniform or when you got that new gear. But I just want to take a few moments for the former players and think of the traditions or memories that were created for you. The warm-up cheers, the pumpkin carve parties, the secret Santas, kickball, the trips to state, the sense of accomplishment that cannot be replaced when you put the work in and you were able to put up another number on that conference or regional championship banner. And for that one particular group that got to go to state, what a memory. But I also have to say, I believe she and that state qualifying team the following year was robbed of the state championship. That was the first year the private schools were allowed in and didn't have to follow the rules till the season actually started. But it was one of our many trips that the playoff was ruined by Madison Edgewood. But I want to take you back and appreciate that moment. It was a sectional final against Edgewood, and this was prior to rally scoring that we have now. It shows how old we all are. But it was rally scoring. That match lasted over 2.5 hours. That year, and the winner advanced to state. So Madison Edgewood went up there along with 2 other private schools, and Madison Edgewood faced a public school, and they beat them in under 40 minutes. So I firmly believe that we were the best public school in the team in my state, and in my mind, her and that team are state champions. But I circle back to that first question I had for her so long ago. Was she going to put in the time and effort? Well, her achievements and the reason we're standing here tonight speak for themselves. She had that fire. She did things with excellence. Her consistency of excellence and longevity speaks volumes. And it'll be rare that in this day of age of coaching, that anyone will experience that kind of success that she did in any sport. I will say it was an honor and also a scary proposition when she asked me to take over the program. You never want to be that person to follow a legend. Her love of the game of volleyball has not wavered, and it was a difficult choice to pursue a career advancement that will open up more opportunities for her yet down the road. Or she had to choose to stay with her love. And so it was very humbling to me when she said, if you don't do it, I might not take the job. But that's how much she loved the sport of volleyball. To put her career on hold, her earnings, because as we all know, there's not a lot of money in coaching. But she entrusted me that, and I will forever that be grateful. She loved being the Hornet volleyball coach. She still loves volleyball and still involved with Center Stars, impacting our Hornet program to this day. So at this time, please welcome into our Hall of Fame, Coach Laura Southby.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm a little emotional, so I'm going to try to do my best here. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thank you to the Athletic Booster Club for this recognition, not only for myself, but for the many athletes and coaches that they have recognized in the past and will continue to recognize in the future. Well, I could go on and on about my passion for coaching in the sport of volleyball. You would tire of that quickly. So what I will touch on are the people that drew me to coaching and what kept me doing something I loved for 25 years. There are many people throughout my life who influenced me to pursue my desire to become a teacher and a coach, which was really the only thing I ever thought about doing. My grandma was a teacher, and at a young age, I developed a love for learning. And yes, I was one of those kids who practiced their flashcards and did extra math homework just because I wanted to be better. I loved learning. I loved working hard, and through this, at an early age, I developed a passion to compete. It didn't matter if it was academics, athletics, or tiddlywinks. I simply loved competing. Reality quickly set in, and I learned I wasn't the best at really anything, but I still loved to compete. And I have never really set my mind to anything that I would not compete to be the best that I could be. My parents have continued and have always been my biggest and best supporters. They instilled the belief in me that there was nothing I couldn't do if I set my mind to it. They pushed me to work hard, to dedicate your whole self into anything you do, and never settle for where you are. Always strive for more. I did not grow up in an environment where participation trophies were accepted or even wanted. Participation is the trophy. Competing, camaraderie with teammates, a desire to push yourself to levels you may not have even thought you could accomplish, and to prove to the naysayers that you were better than they believed you could be. Their philosophy: work harder, work smarter, and simply outlast the competition with drive, dedication, and maybe just a touch of independent stubbornness. My career in Richland Center began in August of 1994 with a small yet very tight group of people who allowed me into their social circle. Jamie Johnson and Steve Board, both who were current head coaches in Richland Center, along with a small contingent of their friends, welcomed me into their group. And for many, many years, we coached, socialized, and laughed a lot. We all wanted to be better at what we did. We constantly talked about sports. We constantly talked about how to improve. We learned a lot from our decisions, good and bad. And in the end, they made me a better coach. No sports program can be successful without two key elements: quality athletes and dedicated coaches. I was blessed with both. The dedicated coaches I was allowed and thankful to work with were many, but I had 5 coaches: Jamie Johnson, Chris Mulholland, Jamie Pauls, Robin Lynch, and Katie Sweet. Work with athletes in our program for 5 or more years in the 22 years I was coaching. That rarely happens. They clearly did not read that invisible fine print that I always told them was at the bottom of their contracts, telling them they could never leave. I was lucky enough that these coaches stuck with the program and tolerated me through the years, challenged me and my decisions, and helped me reflect each and every year on how to improve, how to make our program better, and how to develop our athletes. The one thing I may be most proud of isn't the win-loss record, the many conference championships, or the numerous athletes who pursued their collegiate careers in volleyball. To this day, I believe I'm most proud that many of the athletes I had the privilege of coaching became coaches themselves. We all know coaches are not always loved by their athletes. It's a job hazard. However, knowing that many of the athletes I was allowed to coach developed a love and a passion for the game of volleyball may be my biggest accomplishment. The fact that I was able to coach side by side with many of these athletes, more than a half a dozen being part of my coaching staff, these are some of the best moments and memories I have. No program can be sustained by one coach alone. It takes a concerted effort by a strong group of individuals to carry on a philosophy and an expectation to simply work harder than your competitors. Quality athletes. Let's be honest, folks, you simply cannot compete if you do not have skilled, hardworking, competitive athletes in your program. I was showered with a bounty of talented athletes. We had many Division I, II, and III athletes come through our program, but these athletes alone do not sustain 22 years of varsity success. While some of these athletes may have formed the initial backbone to our program in the early years, they made everyone around them better and challenged the next season's athletes to continue the tradition of success. Each athlete pushed the other to be better, challenged them to take risks, outwork our competition, And in those 22 years, there was never a team that wanted to be that team. That team that wasn't competitive, that team that wasn't vying for a conference championship and wasn't going to make a run towards the state tournament. The intense drive, dedication, and desire of the hundreds of athletes that funneled through the program in 25 years is why and how the program was able to sustain its success. In closing, while I am humbled at this recognition, coaching gave me the best 25 years of my life, allowed me to form relationships that I value and hold near and dear to me each and every day. This recognition was shared with dozens of coaches, hundreds of athletes who I was blessed to work with, compete with, and let's be honest, win a few ball games. I can't possibly name each and every one of you who were part of my 25-year journey. I can simply say, thank you.
Congratulations, Laura. Our final inductor this evening is a familiar face here at Richland Center High School. It's a privilege, though, to give him the privilege of standing behind this microphone now to deliver our final induction. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Andy Troxel. Andy?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to this year's Hall of Fame inductees. My name is Andrew Troxel. I'm the current head football coach at Richland Center High School, and it's an honor tonight to introduce one of the newest Hall of Fame members from the class of 2022. Before I discuss this individual's merits, I want to provide some context about the program that he has so dramatically influenced during his tenure as a coach. The Richland Center football program was first established in the fall of 1902. Since then, the game, those who play and coach it, and society itself has dramatically changed since our program's conception 120 years ago. During this time, our program's rich and storied history has competed at the highest levels of competition, as well as traversed some turbulent periods. Throughout it all, those who live and work in this community have remained committed to the program. Many of these individuals still reside in our community and have remained committed to Hornet football. Many former players have gained lifelong memories while competing for our program, and many of these individuals have had success and life-changing experience that will stay with them for the rest of their time through life. The success and the experiences often fall on the shoulders of the coaching staff. One specific individual has been a constant during the modern era of Hornet football. Furthermore, I, along with many others, would consider him the greatest caretaker of Raider and Hornet football. He has been loyal, committed, and proud to coach for Richland Center football for just under 50 years. Tonight it's my pleasure to introduce to you one of the newest members of the Richland Athletic Hall of Fame, Gary Schwartz. Gary will begin his 48th year of coaching at Richland Center in the fall of 2022. His coaching career at RSD began in 1975 as the head middle school coach and an RCHS varsity assistant. During his tenure, his middle school coaching record was 164, 34, and 7 ties. As a varsity assistant coach, he played an instrumental role in coaching the dominant RC football teams of the 1980s and the 1990s. Many of those teams won conference championships and had prolific playoff runs. Gary also had an influential role as a coach in the 1990 state championship game, where the Hornets were state runners-up. His role during these seasons included preseason preparation with practice and installation, scouting opponents, and game night analysis from the press box. Once Gary retired in 2009, he became a full-time volunteer coach for the football program. He served as an assistant under 9 different head coaches and coached various positions: running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, kickers, DBs, DNs, and linebackers. I'm not getting anything left, is there, Gary? Many of these athletes Gary coached went on to play collegiate football. During the string of losses in the 2010s, Gary was the constant for the Hornet football program. Coaches may have came and went, but Gary was always prepared, energetic, and eager to do his part to ensure that he had the best players he had on the field. In the past 4 years, Gary has provided a wealth of knowledge to help Hornet football return to a competitive level of play. Gary has been extremely helpful in the back-to-back playoff appearances by the Hornet football teams in 2020 and 2021. And furthermore, both of these playoff appearances led to a level 2 playoff game, a feat not matched since the early 90s. Gary had an 83% winning percentage as a middle school head football coach from 1979 to 2009. During this time, he would have 10 undefeated seasons with the RMS Raiders. His success is largely attributed to his preparation, his attention to detail, and his very patient life. Gary has the uncanny ability to see something on the field and understand the chain of reaction that occurred in order for that event to happen. His knowledge of the game is outstanding. His field vision is unparalleled. The impact he had at middle school level often rolled over to the teams who would compete for RCHS. His development of these programs was instrumental in the growth and success of various RCHS football programs. He had over 25 different assistants and volunteers during his time at RMS, and many of these coaches were going to coach at the high school level or lead programs of their own, myself included. Gary is also an award-winning coach and a founding member of the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association. He has received football awards over his coaching career. 25 years of service, that award was presented by Barry Alvarez. 30 years of service by Brent Vila. 35 years by Gary Anderson. 40 and 45 years of service presented by Paul Chris. Gary's enshrinement in the RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame is a wonderful achievement to add to his list of previous accomplishments and his legacy at RCHS. Anyone who has had the honor of coaching with Gary will know that his dedication to the program is unmatched. Furthermore, Gary refuses to be sidelined. Recently, Gary overcame a health issue, and as the doctor entered the room, he was met with a statement that said something like this: "Doc, practice is on Monday, and I gotta be there. What do I gotta do to be there?" This gives you a window into the dedication that he has to our program. He truly wants this program to succeed. Furthermore, he pours his time and energy into making other coaches around him better coaches and better people. The value he adds to our program is priceless, and I'm comforted in the fact that for me and as for the coaches who come after me, that when we pass Gary's plaque in the hallway on our way to the weight room or on the game field every Friday night, we'll know that he had a profound and prolific influence on this program. And his legacy will be felt here forever in the years to come. Gary, tonight we celebrate you and your commitment to the Richland School District and the Richland Center football program. We are forever grateful. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the newest member of the RCHS Athletic Hall of Fame, class of 2022, Gary Schwartz.
First of all, I have not been coaching for over 100 years or whatever it was when Andy got started. It made me nervous what he was going to say next. I must admit that I'm still in the recovery phase of surprise by being selected for the RCHS Sports Hall of Fame. I'm being honored when I already have the rewards of coaching. I am rich with so many fond memories. I kind of feel like I'm double dipping here. Congratulations to the other inductees. I've had an opportunity to coach and work with most of you. I know the time and effort and dedication you had to put in, and I'm humbled to be included in this group. There are so many who have helped me over the past 47 years that I'll have to address many collectively rather than individually. I'd like to start by thanking Ron Fruit. Ron was always a supporter for us, whatever programs that I was working with. And thank Coach Troxel and Coach Harris for their roles in my nomination. The Booster Club and Kirk Lair, and the head coaches and assistant coaches at the high school and middle school who helped me and traveled with me on this journey. I wish to thank the community for supporting the parents who trusted their children to the track, football, and forensics programs that I coached. And a very special thanks to the young participants themselves who practiced hard, played smart, and made the middle school proud when I was the head coach there. And the RCHS football athletes who I've had an opportunity to coach over the years. You've all worked hard. You made me look good. Finally, a special bold-faced, all-caps thanks to my family. Here tonight are my wife, Michelle, our daughter, Jen, her husband, Chad, and granddaughter, Savannah. And our granddaughter, Rihanna, couldn't make it. Also unable to attend are our daughter, Abby, her husband, Aaron, and their children, Sam and Claudia. I know you're here in spirit, and I know you're watching, so here's a shout out to you, Sam and Claudia. As a coach's family, you've had to make many sacrifices so I could pursue my passion. You're my strongest supporters and have unconditionally been through some of the toughest times and some of the best times. To quote Michelle, there are only 2 seasons, football season and preparing for the next football season. And I've heard her say that many times. After learning of the induction, Michelle FaceTimed our daughter's family in Minnesota. 3rd grade Claudia answered. Michelle said, "We have some big news. Pop is going to be inducted into the RCHS Sports Hall of Fame." Claudia's eyes got big and her mouth dropped open. I was impressed that someone her age would understand the significance of this honor. We spent a couple of minutes talking to Sam, Abby, and Aaron. Then Claudia came back on the screen. She put everything back in perspective by saying, "I thought you said Pop was going to be abducted." I needed that chuckle to kind of get my feet on the ground that night. For those high school people, and even some older, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my journey because you never know what things come up that can change the direction of your life. You just need to make the best of them. My journey into coaching had a most unlikely beginning. I grew up on a small farm near Darlington, Wisconsin. I loved all sports. Football was huge in Darlington, and like most boys, I dreamed of playing for the Redbirds. Unfortunately, during the summer prior to high school, I sustained a severe knee injury while playing baseball. And the doctors told my parents that I should not play contact sports until I had finished growing. At that time, I was about 5'2" and weighed about 100 pounds. I had a lot of growing to do. With the aid of a knee brace, I was able to play baseball and golf, but football dreams were crushed. One day, I was sitting in class drawing football plays. My homework was completed. The teacher was the head football coach, Jack Bertolini. He was a small man. He walked very quietly. He had a restricted sense of humor. He's pretty much all business. And suddenly I sensed that he was behind me, and I had a shiver. He took his flagstaff he used as a pointer and reached right past my ear, pointed to the paper and said, "Who's blocking that linebacker? See me after class." It was a long 5 minutes before that bell rang. After class, he inquired why I wasn't out for football. I told him about my injury and I wanted to play but couldn't. He asked if I would like to be a manager and a coach's assistant. Over the next years, I kept getting more responsibilities. Coaches took me with them to a sports medicine clinic where I learned to tape and administer field-side first aid. In addition, I assisted in drills and attended film sessions. My senior year, I helped Coach Ringen teach the week's opponent's plays to our scout team and helped him coach the JVs and teach them fundamentals. I was supposed to be a non-contact participant, but the coaches gave me a helmet just in case. It was a good thing. Also a good thing that my mother never found out. Although I wasn't a player, I felt like I was a member of the team and the coaching seed was planted. After discharge from the Army, I returned to college to complete my graduate work. As I prepared for job interviews, my advisor told me to beware of administrators who will try to talk you into taking on extra duties. Don't do it until you've had a couple of years of experience under your belt. That's important. When I interviewed for the teaching position at the middle school, Dave Siefkas and I connected immediately. I knew I wanted to work for him, and he offered me the job. He ended the interview with, "And you coach football, right?" And I said, "Well, no." And he repeated, "I'd like to have you coach football." I said, "Well, maybe in a couple of years." And he looked at me with stern eyes and said, "Mr. Schwartz, you will coach football." Ding, ding, ding. "Yes, Mr. Vitus, I will coach football." "And track?" "Yes, I'll coach track." That was really the second step, because who knows what would have happened if he had not been so insistent. Last week, I attended the Wisconsin Football Coaches Clinic in Madison. During a break in the sessions, I happened to be sitting with a group of young coaches who were talking about their head coach who will be starting his 25th year. They speculated on what kept him coming back. They were pretty young, I think first and second year coaches. One turned to me and asked, "How long have you been coaching?" When I told them, they looked at me in disbelief, and one of them said, "I love football, but I couldn't coach kids that long," and went on to explain what he thought of kids today. I heard myself saying, without even thinking about it, it isn't about football, it's about the kids. I love the game of football, don't get me wrong, but football is a sport, it's a game. It has the potential to help players grow as individuals, learn life skills, and form bonds and relationships that will last forever. For that to happen, players must have fun and have a sense of accomplishment and success. That doesn't mean they always have to win. I tell players if they work hard and focus on improving each day in practice, then play smart and give their honest best effort in the game, they are winners, and I respect that. That's all a coach can ask. At clinics many years ago, I heard some quotes that have stuck with me. One, sports don't teach character. Coaches teach character. Players don't care how much you know, they respond when they know how much you care. A team where a player will push themselves beyond their expectations if they're having fun and feel successful. And it's a coach's job to find ways for players to have fun and feel successful. I really wish I had shared those thoughts with those young coaches. If this sounds like a retirement speech, it isn't my intent. My wife, Michelle, and Coach Troxel have this agreement that I will coach for at least 50 years. I find that interesting. I didn't know as a volunteer that I have an extended contract. Regardless, though, I am looking forward to my upcoming football season, my 48th. I would like to finish by saying it's been a great and humble appreciation that I accept this award. I share with all of those who made it possible for me to coach and teach in this community. We are truly one hive. Thank you.
Just a couple of final notes, but first of all, Gary, congratulations and thank you for your many years of service. If I could just loosely quote what Chris said earlier tonight, that I think Hornet sports have made us all better, and it will be your involvement and your positive encouragement and support that will continue that process. Now we'll be taking pictures and we'll pull down the sound equipment quick and going to turn the banner around here and be able to use that as a backdrop. So if you'd like to be able to get a picture of the inductees, you're certainly welcome to participate in that tonight. And let me leave you with a challenge. When you come down and you congratulate the inductees this evening, you ask them what this means to them. But you really don't have to, because you heard that emotion in their voices. You saw it in their faces. And don't you want that for the people who have been the kind of athletes that have inspired you over the year? Your nomination makes all the difference in the world. That's the way it happens. So make sure that you make it a priority to nominate, so the Richland Center High School Athletic Boosters have lots of reasons to look forward to future induction ceremonies in the future. Thanks for attending. Kirk has a couple of final announcements here as we wrap things up this evening. Kirk?
Thanks everyone for coming tonight. Just a little bit of housekeeping yet to do. The biggest one is Ron just mentioned, we're gonna give us a few minutes. We're gonna turn around the banner, we're gonna set it up. I know the paper wants to take a picture. We'll leave it open for all the honorees to take as many pictures as they want after we get the group picture. I know Eric's waited quite patiently. We want to give him a chance to get that one for the paper. Remember also, we still have our silent auction going. We're gonna give you about 15 more minutes. So right now, I think it's about 9 o'clock. We'll give you to 9:15. Again, thanks everyone for coming. To me, having the Hall of Fame stuck in here or intertwined with one of our biggest fundraisers of the year for the Hornet Athletics is very, very special, because being in the Hall of Fame out there, being a member myself, is very special. And these honorees show you what can come out of this community and just the kind of dedication that we have to RCHS. Again, thanks a lot. Give us a few minutes, spend some money yet, and enjoy the night.